Okay, and welcome to the Pop Cult Online video podcast. The podcast dedicated to the 10-year-old in all of us. I'm your host, Rick Gordon. Okay, well, after a long absence, I'm finally back and doing what I do best. So, we're just going to catch up a little, tell you what I've been doing, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Now you can be Batman in your very own Batmobile by Marx. Comes complete with Batcape. No batteries needed, ever. Just back up to wind the powerful spring motor. Set the brake. Release and holy blast off! Away you go in your very own Batmobile by Marx.
Okay, and we're back. Now, probably the biggest question most of you people have is, where have you been? Now, that was a question probably from some of my listeners from the past, but for my new listeners, I did a show, this show, since about 2006, and it was sporadic at best, but new year, new resolutions, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it right this time. So, I've been really busy with work. My job has taken me out of town from my home probably 1/3 of the year, and I've just been busier than I believed I could be. So we're going to try to get these shows out on a semi-monthly basis, maybe the 1st and the 15th or the 15th and the 30th. We're going to see what happens. And also for some of our newer watchers, listeners, this isn't the typical format for the Pop Cult. Normally, it's a call-in show, a live call-in show, with a number of guests that call in from time to time on a regular basis, or the history version, which is where I interview writers. It's a very writer-centric interview type show that's a little bit separate from this show, but this year is going to be big. We've got a lot of good talent lined up. One of my first interviews for the year is going to be with Don McGregor. So we're a little bit excited about that. So, but other than that, just trying to stay healthy, dealing with, my mom's illness, raising kids, being a husband. It all started to creep in on my time. So I really wasn't managing my time well enough to put out a regular show like I should have been. But like I said, we're gonna fix all that this year. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was Christmas. This has probably been one of the better Christmases that I've had, and just in terms of the material aspect, some of the things that I got. My wife went above and beyond with the gifts that she got, and I'm going to show them to you right now. The interesting thing about this particular toy is I had completely forgotten that I had it. Now, a couple of years back, I did an entire episode about a similar toy that was Spider-Man. It was a Spider-Man playset, and it was probably one of my favorites, but I had no idea about this Batman toy until I saw it again, and then a rush of memories came, and I almost cried. So she did a really great job with that. She didn't even know about it until I told her, about the significance of that find. Plus, I got several other really cool vintage items. I have a large toy collection, but right now I'm just focusing on the real early vintage stuff. I'm talking early first Batmania. So anything from the 60s up until probably about 73. Around 73 is when I kind of got out of playing with toys. So my collection, the significant part of my collection, my favorite part of my collection, are the items that run from about 66 to 73, and that runs the gamut from, Superman, Spider-Man, anything in that era. I do have a ton of stuff afterwards, especially from the 80s up until, maybe 5-6 years ago. But the stuff that's really special to me is the older stuff. So, and that's not the first time she really bowled me over with a gift. Earlier this year, back in April, on my birthday, I got a motorcycle. Yeah. Was completely surprised by it. Yes and no, because I've been whining that I haven't been riding probably the entire time we've been together. So I guess she just got sick of me complaining, every spring when all the new bikes would come out. And, you see these guys riding around, and I just, just all pissed off. I don't know, why can't I have a bike? Blah, 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 blah. So that's all done because I've got a bike, and I will show you that picture right here. Oh boy, I got it. And honestly, that's where most of my time has been really sucked up, is into the bike, because I don't know how many of you are motorcycle enthusiasts, but you can't just have a stock bike. You're constantly upgrading, modifying, tinkering, tweaking, and that's how I spent a good part of my summer when I wasn't working. I was just fiddling around with the bike, so I got it pretty much to where I want it to be. I just have a few minor modifications I'm going to make in the spring, but other than that, the bat cycle is nearly complete, so I'm very happy about that, and we'll be right back after these messages.
To the Honeycomb hideout.
I'm a big sergeant. Give me a big cereal.
Honeycomb's big. It's got a big bite. Post Honeycomb Cereal made with corn and oats as part of this nutritious breakfast.
Right, it's got a big, big bite.
The new 1980 license plates are in Honeycomb.
They're real metal. I'll trade Ohio for Montana. My plate says wheels. Metal.
50 different miniature state license plates, one in each specially marked box of Honeycomb cereal.
Okay, that's going to do it for now. The reason I did this episode this way is I wanted to start working on, the nuts and bolts of getting this thing produced and finding out what's the proper workflow. So this is more or less an experimental episode, and we're going to tweak it as we go along. But, like I said, we're going to keep doing it until we get it right. So, hopefully, within the next week or two, we'll have the next episode up and ready. What I think it's going to be is either an interview with David Price, who was my very first guest years and years and years ago, or a special episode with a friend of mine, and we'll be talking about magazines from back in the day. Not your generic off the newsstand magazines. I'm talking about comic magazines like Marvel Premiere and Marvel Preview, things like that. So stay tuned. We will be back. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And remember, the pop cult. Join us. Join us.